Hello, it's Andy Lockwood from Lockwood College Consulting, and the title of this presentation is 10 College Commandments, 10 eternal truths about college planning that every family should know. Let's get right into it. Here's commandment number 1. Do not rule out expensive schools on sticker price alone. Many colleges are income agnostic, meaning that they don't care how much you make. They'll discount even for affluent families. They will discount for families making 6 figures, even for families earning 7 figures per year. Many colleges have made very loud, public, and repetitive overtures to the middle class and affluent families. So don't make that mistake. Number 2, choose your list of colleges strategically. Do not rely on your peers, families, or stickers on the rear windows of cars in your neighborhood. Many kids will pick schools based on a fancy brochure or a college tour or other things like that are, sure, they're factors that should be considered, but they are not the most important factors. I hope you will agree with me on that. If you choose your list of colleges strategically, you'll be able to pick a set of schools not only that you'll be able to get into in terms of easy target or reach or safety schools, but also there are other factors to consider, such as if that school is looking for the type of student that your child is presenting. Get a handle on college costs and the financial aid formulas no later than your junior year using net cost calculators. The net cost calculator is a relatively new thing that was mandated in October of 2011 by the Department of Education. Every school now on its website somewhere is required to post a net cost calculator excuse me, that it's designed to let you see whether you will have to pay sticker price or if there's a possibility that the school will discount you. The sooner you do this research and the sooner you learn about the financial aid formulas, the more information you'll have and the better informed you will be. Okay, let's move along. Determine what, if anything, you can do to lower your estimated family contribution, or EFC. I'm not going to get into how EFC works here. I do another presentation that covers that. But suffice it to know that EFC is part of the financial aid formula that will determine how much you're going to receive in financial aid. So in other words, if you can lower your estimated family contribution, you will qualify for more financial aid, and there are legal and ethical ways to lower your estimated family contribution. Know your deadlines. A lot of kids understand that if they're applying early, either early decision, early action, or any of the variants on those types of earlies, there are early deadlines for your admissions applications, but there might also be early deadlines for your financial aid applications, and in many cases financial aid can be given out first come, first served. So don't be fooled by what you may have heard or about a deadline being in June, for example, of senior year. Some deadlines are as early as November of senior year. Some are February, some are March. Do not overlook the deadlines. Next, apply to colleges that have historically competed against one another to improve your chances of receiving endowment-based scholarships. This goes back to my point about choosing a list of schools strategically. Part of the strategy is to seek out schools that are vying for the same type of kid, meaning that many schools have a problem filling seats. Out of the 3,000 or so four-year colleges in the United States, only about 100 admit fewer than 50%, which means many other schools admit much more than 50%, and they do that because they're not sure who's actually going to show up. So when push comes to shove, sometimes it helps to play schools off against each other that have historically vied for the same candidate with each other. I'll give you an example a little bit later. Commandment number 6, position your child as early as 9th or 10th grade, because you've got to answer the question, why should we take you instead of these 2,000 other applicants with the same grades and scores as your child? Positioning is a marketing term. So for example, 7-Up, the soda, that it was positioned as the Uncola. Why? Because when 7-Up was introduced, America did not need another Coke or another soda. So the way that 7-Up was designed or was positioned was to let everyone know that, hey, this is not just another soda. This is the Uncola. So look, your child is competing with many, many people. I don't know if it's 2,000, it could be 4,000, it could be 5,000 kids for the same spot. You've got to do the same types of things that 7-Up did to explain why your child is different, what is unique about your child, what is your child going to bring to the campus community, why should they take your child instead of the other 2,000. Along those lines, the essay. Don't commit the cardinal sin of essay writing, being boring. That is the far and away the number one sin when it comes to the essay. There are many others. I do another presentation on the essay alone. That could be an hour in and of itself. Instead, I just want to give you a resource that I give out to many of my clients. It's called On the College Essay, and it's written by a gentleman named Harry Bald, who actually is bald, by the way. It's an old book, but it's a classic, and it's great, and it's short, it's funny, it's sarcastic, it gives examples of bad essays, bad topics, and good essays and good topics. I highly recommend it if you are interested in learning more about how to write a good essay. Number 8, get your teacher recommendations lined up early. Why? Because teachers usually don't like writing recommendation after recommendation. Some do, some are very committed, but none of them enjoys being slammed at the last minute with recommendations. So the earlier that you can line up a teacher recommendation from a teacher who knows you, who you have demonstrated that the ability to excel in his or her class, and you can explain to that teacher what exactly it is you're looking for, maybe coach that teacher a little bit, that is really helpful. So get it in, get the teacher recommendation in early. Do not wait until the last minute. Number 9, visit colleges before applying. I put this in here as a college commandment because many parents tell me, yeah, we're not going to visit until after we find out whether we got in or not. And I understand that there are budget constraints, there are time constraints, not everyone can jet all over the country. However, the reason it's important to visit colleges is because that shows to a college that you are interested. It's actually called demonstrating interest. And most schools, maybe all, but certainly most schools these days will track how interested you are. They will assign a score to you to figure out how interested you are, meaning that if they admit you, are you going to show up, or is there a good chance it's showing up? So you've got to hustle a little bit. You've got to visit schools. You've got to go on interviews if the schools allow them. You've got to go on tours, all that type of stuff. Because if you don't do that, and it's a school that you're dying to go, you're dying to get into, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy if you do not visit the school before you apply. So I really recommend that. There's other reasons too. You want to make sure that you can relate to the types of kids who are on campus. You want to get a good feel for it. There's other sorts of factors, again, outside the scope of this presentation. Commandment number 10. Start your standardized test prep early and often. I am not a test prep guy, but I can tell you unequivocally, because I have spoken to dozens of tutors and owners of huge SAT prep companies that you've heard of, that the kids who start early, even if they start prep for the PSAT, the preliminary SAT, they end up scoring better statistically than those who blow it off. So SAT scores are important. Sure, there are certain schools that do not look at SAT and ACT scores, I should say, but the fact is it's here to stay. Those things are here to stay because they are predictors of how well you're going to do in college. So the sooner you start, the better you do. Look, it's like playing a sport. I was a basketball guy in college. We shot hundreds of free throws all the time, and it wasn't that I became a better free throw shooter because I shot 100 one day and then 100 the next day. It just kind of grooved me. So then when it was game day, I was much more relaxed and able to perform. Same thing with test prep. The more preparation you do, when it's game day, when it's actually time to take the test, you will do better. So do not put it off. Here's a bonus commandment. And this is a big one. Understand that your award package is an offer and can be negotiated. Like I said before, most colleges admit more than 50%, and they are willing to up the offer, up the ante, so to speak, when presented with competing offers, meaning offers from other schools vying for the same type of candidate. So you will do much better when you get a financial aid award in February or March or April of senior year if you have done your homework 12 months or longer before you actually apply to schools. Because if you have constructed your list strategically, then you should have competing awards to be able to use to negotiate among the schools. Now I'm going to throw in some extra information. College kryptonite, mistakes that could kill you in college planning. Out-of-state public universities are really the worst of both worlds. What do I mean by that? Well, number one, you're paying tuition rates that are higher than non-residents. So what's an example of an out-of-state public university? Maryland, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio State, so on and so forth. They are great schools, but understand that that's not where you're likely to get money, because number one, you're not a resident and they favor residents, and number two, they just don't have the funds. They don't have the money. Every school in the country, every state in the union is crying the blues about not having enough funding. Yes, I know that we're experiencing all this great job growth according to the politicians, but I personally haven't seen it. I don't know if you have. There is still a recession as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think you could find a controller or a financial person at any state who would say that, yeah, we're flush. Costs keep going up at state universities because their costs, their own internal costs go up, so they have to charge more. States do two things. They educate and they incarcerate. So they can't raise the rates on prisoners, so they've got to raise rates on college students. So don't expect to get a lot of funding from an out-of-state public university. Second college kryptonite, taking a passive role. In other words, just sitting back and just assuming that your guidance counselor or maybe a financial aid officer at a school or someone else is going to be in your corner and advocating for you and have your best interest at heart. Well, look, guidance counselors, I would never bash a guidance counselor, at least to their faces. No, I'm kidding. I like most guidance counselors. But the fact is that many of them have something like 200 or 300 or more of a caseload, so to speak, to deal with. They have all these students. So to expect them to give your student personal attention is kind of unrealistic. It does happen. I'm not going to say it never happens, and many people really like their guidance counselors, but they're overwhelmed. And then when it comes to financial aid and understanding the formulas and the 1,100 pages of regulations behind the FAFSA, which is the easy financial aid form, the federal form, no way. There's no way that they can they have that expertise. It's really a specialty. When it comes to asking financial aid officers at colleges, bear in mind that colleges are in business, and like any business, they have costs, they have overhead, and they will lowball students or the lowball families with their financial aid offers. So their goal is really to see if they could get you to come to their college paying as much as they can get out of your wallet, and you have the opposite goal. So that's why financial aid officers are not necessarily the most helpful when it comes to getting assistance with increasing your financial aid awards. Procrastinating. This is the worst killer. If you start the process too late, then you will restrict your options. So if you are a high school senior, you are not on death row. You're not necessarily on life support at this point, but there may have been things you could have done in your sophomore year or your junior year that would have improved your list of schools, building the strategic list, like I said before. Maybe there were some financial moves as a parent you could have made, because some assets count against you more than others. When I mentioned before about the financial aid formulas, that's what I was referring to. Money in a child's name, for example, will count against you much more. So a lot of parents, unfortunately, find out too late that the money they'd stashed in a 529 may be great as tax advice from a CPA, but it'll absolutely slaughter them when it comes to financial aid. So these are the types of things you really can't put off. All right, let me ask you this. Are you tossing and turning at night over how in God's green earth you'll ever be able to afford to send your child to the dream college that she deserves? Are you disappointed by the lack of personalized guidance that you assumed that you'd get from your high school? Are you worried that you're not looking at the right best fit colleges for your child? Are you concerned that your child's extracurricular activities, application, and essay will not make her stand apart from the herd of competitor applicants with the same grades and scores? Are you tired of butting heads with your child about doing all of the critically important things he must do in order to get into a great college and succeed beyond college? Are you suspicious that some families got more financial aid than they deserved because they learned the loopholes and rules of the game? Well, we can help you navigate the entire college application and financial aid process from soup to nuts. Here are some of the things, not all, that we do for students. We will help them compose a list of best fit colleges strategically. We will coach them on the correct classes, the in-school and outside of school extracurricular activities to market themselves effectively, make them more desirable to the colleges that they want to go to. We help kids find their voice on the personal statement so that they end up writing an essay so compelling that admissions officers will practically crawl naked over broken glass to admit them. We supervise and, if necessary, kick their butts nicely for the college applications, the essays, the recommendations, and all the other various and sundry tasks that have to happen in a timely fashion. School has its own timeline, whether you're a child or whether you adhere to it or not. So time marches on. You need to understand that no matter what you do. We help parents also. We'll help them by projecting the out-of-pocket costs for each college on your list, by using a set of proprietary tools that high schools just don't have access to. We'll suggest legal and ethical strategies to improve your eligibility and therefore pay less out of pocket. We'll identify colleges that have been generous historically that are also best fit colleges for your child. Many times there's 2 or 3 schools that are all equally attractive to a student, but they can vary greatly in terms of their financial aid generosity. We'll help negotiate and improve financial aid awards after they have been issued using our proprietary techniques and strategies. And we'll provide peace of mind and certainty about this overwhelming emotional process as your advocate in your corner for you to bounce ideas off and succeed. This college planning process might be new to you, but we've advised more than 1,000 families successfully. If you want more information, here's how to contact me. No, I don't wear those pajamas regularly, but yeah. You can either call me at the office, 882-5464, area code 516. You can email me at andy@andylockwood.com. We also have free resources on the website there. We have a bunch of videos, a bunch of webinars. We do live workshops a lot, and there's articles and a few other things that you may want to take advantage of. But if you want someone who is in your corner, I advise you to reach out to us, schedule a meeting. There's no charge to sit down with me. We will do at least a 20-minute phone call where you can give me all of your concerns and the obstacles and the loop, the traps and pitfalls that you find that you're facing, and we will see if we can help you navigate this process successfully. So thank you for your time. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to us in one of these ways, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you very much. Take care.